massive pack from Costco. Just command strips. Let's see if it adheres to the fabric, which I'm not feeling very optimistic, but we'll see. I could be shocked, and honestly, that would be amazing. So let's try. Okay, so I want it to go here. It doesn't honestly have to be super crazy. You know what? I think that's gonna work great. So I'll show you where I'm putting it if you have this couch, and then you can do the heck yourself. Okay, I will say you definitely want to be careful that you're not pulling it too tightly, because then it'll look kind of lumpy. But wow, that was super easy. All right, so I'll show you where I put it. Okay, so I'm using my phone here, but if you have this couch, you'll see how cheaply this is made, first and foremost. And then you'll see this piece of wood here. I am putting the command strip right here on this face, and then I'm folding it over into here. And then once you fold over, then it just creates a really nice, slick look. Once I got to the end of the couch, this is when I ran into an issue that I actually wasn't anticipating, oddly enough, is the skirt had a bunch of fabric that needed to go somewhere if I wanted that seamless look. So right now I'm just problem solving and trying to figure out how to tuck it or get rid of it. And I ended up cutting. Plan on using this, okay, beyond this little hack. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. I think that works. Now, what to do with all of this? Let's bring you over. Okay, you know what? I think this part has to go. After cutting off the excess on the corner, I ended up sewing the two seams shut. I'm definitely going to see if I can get away with not doing this on every side, maybe just the front. There we go. It's obviously not going to look perfect, but I think we're getting somewhere here. All right, let's go to the other side. But I'm just gonna show once again what I did. Because this couch has a skirt, I need to remove this excess fabric so that when I cinch it underneath, it doesn't have this kind of like bulkiness. So once I remove this, I sew and I join these so that it just comes together and it looks a bit more neat. I've slit the middle here, and I'm gonna screw this on. There we go. And now a very exciting transformation of this very white, bland wall in our kitchen. Up until this point, our tea kettle and coffee maker, along with all our supplies for hot drinks, have been scattered all over the kitchen in different places. So the vision here is to pull inspo from the English cottage style, creating a coffee bar. This means a beadboard wall, pine wood, antique pictures, and wicker elements for texture. And to top it off, I am making this renter friendly because we do not own this wall or anything it's attached to. Something to note is the 4-foot mark. So it's an 8-foot by 4 sheet, and if I cut it in half, that's 4 by 4. And then 4 feet actually from here comes to about here. And that's not where I want it to end up. That's not gonna make sense. It's not gonna look good. So I'm gonna have to cut more off. So it's probably gonna come to maybe more around here, so that I can also put the trim along the top on the beadboard. We've already installed the shelf here. That's gonna have like our teas and some plants and art prints. But yeah, as you can see, it's a very bare wall and it's in need of a little bit of zhuzhing. My outfit changing constantly. This is all on the same day. The temperature was just fluctuating so much. I was going inside and outside, and I was changing so many times my sweater to a shirt to a t-shirt. So apologize for the inconsistencies, but that is why you are getting many outfits. So I have these guys again, the command strips. I'm gonna attempt them, but if it doesn't hold, which I'm not actually, I mean, these things surprise me sometimes, but I'm basically going to plan A, and then plan B, which also might be just a part of plan A, is to put 2 tiny little screws. But yeah, let's just try it out first. Wow. Command strips for the win. So I have the Velcro ones, just so you know, and then I put them together. It's a good thing there's something going in front of this, because this baseboard is very thin at the top. It's like, it almost looks like an 1/8 inch thick. So there's not a lot of forgiveness where the beadboard meets up with the baseboard. So you can see this like pretty vile shadow at the bottom, but we don't usually have all these lights on. There's going to be a cabinet in front of this, and I'm painting all this. So this is gonna get caught right here. So I'm going to do that now, and this is going to get covered. As I was filling in the seam, I wasn't looking for a perfect job. I was just looking to fill in the crack as best as possible and smoothing out the caulking afterwards so that the paint will go on nice and smooth. Afterwards, I headed back into the garage to rip down some pine that I had lying around in an effort to conserve and use things I already had. These pieces are going to be the border trim for the top of the beadboard to bring the look together. I did kind of like a notch job so that this can just sit on top of the beadboard. But I have to do, it's not perfect, that's for sure. I could just do that and use I didn't do a great job, I guess, with cutting straight. I could just do this. I'm gonna do a trim trick. Ah yes, look at how impressed I am with my miter joints. Look at how nicely that's coming together. Ooh la la, guess what? I did not put this on the wall as nice as that is going together. But I'm just going to say that if you are going to use the miter cut because your boards are not long enough to span your wall, I would just suggest using a level, because I did not, and I definitely underestimated what the command strips were going to do on the wall with spacing and all of that stuff. So as nice as that miter joint is, you're going to see a very big shadow where the joint is really bad. Studs where this ends up, so I'm gonna basically just put it onto the roof of the shelf like this. Just a couple things to note is I got this rod and the hooks and cup holder from IKEA, and this table console that I'm bringing in here I actually made from scratch, and just keep a lookout for future videos because I will be releasing the how-to on this. It was such a rewarding process. I really love how it turned out. I hope you stick around. Building the coffee station table I use for my English Cottage-Inspired coffee bar in my kitchen. I will link that video above, so join me as I figure out and problem solve my way through this very fun build. A little note is that we live in Canada and it was quite chilly outside and in the garage, so I brought some of my tools downstairs for this, hence the messy basement backdrop. But thank you so much for joining me today. Maybe grab your favorite tea and let's get into this. I didn't do the best job at filming the beginning portion of this build, So I wanted to pop this up on here to share what I did up to this point. I put pocket holes on either side of the table aprons and screwed them into the top of the legs, giving them a slight inset so they weren't flush with the legs. Yeah. It's right at this point that I end up throwing in the towel on a certain method that I was going to try to do for the shelf, but I ended up abandoning this idea and switching to another idea that might not have looked as aesthetic, but it was a lot more simple. I have basically decided to take the sides out and replace them with some 2x2s, and I think that will make it a bit easier moving forward. Here I'm just sanding the rough edges of the shelf before attaching to the full console, and then shortly after this and after attaching, I move on to the paint. These screws are so that when I flip it over and I start painting and I get down to the leg, I'm not going to be painting the floor or having like a sloppy job at the very bottom. There's going to be a little bit of a gap so that I can have a nice smooth finish when I bring the brush there. Not bad, not bad. So, I have Fusion, it's Everett. Okay, so apologies for the super bad lighting, but I'm going to be applying this sealer onto the top of the console right here. I finally just got it from Amazon today, and this is what I'm putting on that basically protects the wood from spills, moisture, that kind of thing. It'll make the water or whatnot, coffee, tea, just kind of bubble instead of seep into the wood. I ended up putting 2 coats of the sealer on. It didn't take long in between the coats. I would say maybe an hour or so. And then afterwards, we brought it upstairs. Matt and I absolutely love how this table turned out. I hope that you stick around for more content like this, and be sure to check out my last video where I end up putting this whole look together, and it's all renter friendly. Perhaps you're thinking, you got a new bed frame, why are you reupholstering it? Why did you not just buy the bed frame that you wanted from the very beginning? Well, it turns out that orange beds in the style that we wanted are cheaper. So we ended up buying this wingback bed frame that I loved the style of, but it was the cheapest version of this style that I could find. And I thought to myself, hey, I've reupholstered before. Let's try it again. So I ended up buying some beautiful fabric from a store called Tonic Living, and I am going to today put the two together. So I'm thinking, because this board has this piece right here, it's not going to be as straightforward of a fold over and staple. So I'm thinking I'm gonna fold over the fabric at the top first and do this little part first, and then I think everything else will be more simple. So let's try that. It's as clean as possible. I think that's what I'm trying to figure out here. I think this might be it right here. Okay, so I did finish the headboard, which I think looks amazing, and I realized that what I've seen people do is they put, if they're upholstering over one dark fabric with a lighter fabric, they'll use like a white cotton underneath so that you get the true color of the fabric that you're covering it with. So the original fabric has a bit more of like a light cream color, but because it's semi, you could see through it if you held it up to a window. You're getting a bit more of like a dark cream because the orange is making it a bit darker. It's kind of similar, I think, to when you go from a dark color on a wall to paint, and then you want to paint it lighter. You kind of have to prime it first so that you can get the true color that you're trying to change the dark to if you're going lighter, if that makes sense. But I'm just gonna stay the course. I think this looks incredible. I'm so happy with the fabric that I got, and I can't wait to see this all put together. I am so hot. It is like so hot in here. It is one of the nicest days so far of the year. It's officially spring. I think it's 10 degrees outside, and it's been sunny, and you can hear the birds, and it's just beautiful outside. But inside, because there's so many windows on this home, it's basically like a greenhouse. So I'm sweating, but this looks fantastic. Let's keep going, even though I am so hot. I might just change my shirt. So new outfit warning. That's pretty much how I live my life. I just, switch my outfit every hour depending on the temperature in the house. It starts freezing, and then it gets hot, and then it ends freezing. So I'm like, anyways, okay. Okay, let's not take all this stuff out. Let's do one thing at a time, maybe. Okay. Someone commented on one of my videos that she loved my patience, and I really appreciated it, but deep down I know that I am not always patient, so it really reminded me that it is a good attribute to work on. I will stay the course. If anyone out there is curious, this bed that I'm taking apart is from IKEA. We actually got this bed when we got married, which is coming up on 7 years ago. So this bed has served a great purpose. It's been in about 3 or 4 homes. We've moved around quite a bit, but we are very excited to upgrade our bed frame, and this bed frame is actually going into our spare room. So very exciting changes. Just popping in here to make a small apology for the rolling shadow that's going across the screen. I only noticed now editing, and it turns out it's actually from the light that is above the bed, because it's not showing up in any of the other shots. So apologies if that's a distraction, but I will avoid using that in the future. As a matter of fact, we actually want to swap it out, so that will definitely take care of that. Something I learned while doing this project is when you're doing a fabric that has a pattern that is going in a certain direction, like I did, this pinstripe fabric, and you want all the lines to go in a certain direction, when accounting for how much you actually need to be a bit more liberal with how much you get. I did not account for the fact that when you want the pattern to go in a certain direction, you can't just slap on fabric when you have extra, when there's a small space you want to fill, because it does need to go in the same direction and you do want it to look cohesive. So I just wanted to take a chance and show you what I've been doing on the corners in order to flop them over. So let's see if I can do this here. So right here we've got a corner, and obviously there's a point here. Let's see here. So there's a point here. So I've just been taking the corner and just folding it into the middle, and then I just fold this part up, and then I fold this part up. Now this side is a bit short. This side is a bit short, but I'll be able to pin that. You see that? How it's obviously not an ideal corner, but when you're trying to avoid doing the sewing, it works. So let me know if you want, I don't know, more tutorials on what I do. I mean, I'm not a upholstery knowing person. I've just been doing it, and you can too. Basically took some unloved paper that I placed them all together and taped them, which was honestly not the preferred method, but it's done, and now here it is. I've traced the piece. As you can see here, this is the line for the actual wing, and then I've added an extra inch or so. So basically that's the plan. I'm going to take my fabric, lay it over the desk, and I'm going to put this over top. I just had a realization. All right, I'm gonna cut this. I just realized that if I leave the seam on the template, then I'll lose track of the actual size that I'm actually trying to sew it to. So I'm gonna cut this to the actual size of the orange wing, and then I'll add it later so that I can just be more accurate with the sizing. All of the panels, the large panels. Now what's left to do is to cut the middle piece. And what I mean by that is the piece that goes here. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew this to this to this, and then I think I'm just gonna staple the back. so that I can have a bit more control over like tugging it tight into the back, just to make sure that it looks pretty snug. I think it'll look okay, but I just want to give some allowance to just in case it might be too big or it might be too small, I can tug it and I can staple it. All right, so I need to cut the strip that goes here. So I just sewed the sock and the plan is to put the sock on the wing, and then I'm going to staple it to the back and then the bottom.
It's the coldest hand that run down this land where the ocean ends. It's the tallest sound, the damn smallest crowd, but their hearts break loud. Far from ever feeling lost with me.
Okay, so we are very close to the final reveal, which you can nearly see right behind me. But I wanted to do just 2 simple extra upgrades to this bedroom space. It's such a tiny thing, but I think it'll make a big difference for us. This wire here, now that now that this wing is here, it's gonna make turning this on and off just a bit tricky. It's such a first world problem, but I have a solution that I think is going to go well, and I'll show you. 2 battery powered light bulbs, and that's gonna replace the plug-in. Just to clean up this wire, I can take it out and yeah, it'll just reduce the clutter, essentially. Basically just cut the wire, but it's not going to be a big deal in the future if I want to reattach, because you just strip this and then tie the wires together. So
I'll push you back towards the land and sea. They're going down for love, and love is free. Stick with me and I will guarantee.
So what have done now, I don't really like these handle things anymore. So I actually ended up getting just some simple wood handles from IKEA to replace them. And so I'm just gonna swap these out, and that'll be the last little upgrade to our bedroom.
You'll never last along the crowd with me. You'll never last among the crowd with me. Never last among the crowd with me. Everywhere you go, I'll be.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are reupholstering some barrel chairs I got on Facebook Marketplace for our living room, and no word of a lie, when I reached out to the seller to say I was interested, she wanted to send me more pictures before I officially purchased them, just so that I had the full scope of what I'd be getting myself into. So they basically smelled like animals had been partying on them in the rain in a moldy garage, but the bones of them were just what we had wanted. The cating is not in the best shape, but we oddly liked the worn look. So these would be what I hoped was pretty straightforward. The main thing to get out of the way is that I am not a professional reupholsterer, and I have never done this before. But after getting a quote for $400 a chair to have it done professionally, which, side note, is not actually that bad to have a professional do it, but I definitely wanted to try it out myself. So if you get nothing out of this video but one thing, let it be to be inspired to reupholster something you've been wanting to breathe new life into. In the future though, you know, if I were to do more, it's not hard to recreate this and save myself my wrists and hands and just get some plywood. This is like a really nice cost-effective way if you already have a lot of the tools. But yeah, I'm slowing down, but I'm gonna persevere. All right, let's clean up these staples and then we'll get onto the foam. Or no, I'm gonna clean the staples and then I'm gonna cut the foam. No, I'm gonna clean the staples and then I'm gonna sand the form down. Let's go. If you didn't see part 1, I do recommend checking it out, especially if you want to get the backstory and the full scope of work that went into this project. I will link that in the description below, along with all the materials I used to make this chair flip happen. So with that, let's get into today's video, and as you can see, I am tracing the foam for the seat. Once I cut the foam to the shape and size of the wood form, I switched over to the chair webbing. This is something I had never done before, but it was honestly so straightforward. I used a heavy-duty staple gun. I made sure to pull the webbing tight and then stapled each piece a minimum of 3 times first, then folded the webbing over and then stapled again. I did this process as many times as it took to fill the area in the center of the form with a secure weave pattern. Matt wanted to keep the worn look on the arm part, to which I said, sure, that makes it a lot easier, and it's really neat to think about the history of the piece. And it's okay to have kind of worn looking furniture if it's comfortable and it kind of suits your space. So anyways, it came down to the fabric, and this is the first time I've done this. Where I actually got samples. It was a toss-up between this like terracotta, I don't know if you can see the texture on that. It's a lot brighter in person. It's not so dark. Actually, that's pretty accurate. The same fabric, but except it's a moss. And if you see our curtains here, they have like, there's like a nice greeny velvet. But I didn't want to just match the curtains with the chair or the chair with the curtains, but I did get kind of like a different colored green here. So as you can see, it's like a velvet color. Right here are the choices. So I got 2 yards because room for error. And room for more projects, hopefully. Oof, nice. Wow, this is a lot of fabric. I don't think I needed as much as I bought, but this is a beautiful, thick, look at that texture. Isn't that nice? Oh. Maybe the impact is what it needs to pull down the... Boom! There's no issues here.
Just pull it down? Maybe that's what happened on the other chair.
Maybe. Maybe that's why it looks so good. For the design element of this makeover, I am taping the bottom and the top of the dresser to give it a cottage-style two-tone look where it will be partially painted, but have wood revealed to keep the end result a bit warmer. fusion newel to the drawers and the side. I haven't decided if I'm gonna try and sand it down and try and get it out of the yellow stage, the yellowing of the pine, and then put a polyacrylic coat over top of it. Because I'm pregnant, I am kind of doing the minimum right now. So just wanting to get it painted, get it to a nicer style that we like. And then we've got some really nice pull knobs. To the tedious part of taking the existing handles off. I have some nice Amazon replacements. They're a bit smaller than what's here, but I think it's gonna look a lot nicer, so eh. More gray than I thought.
Yeah.
It is like it is a green, believe it or not.
It looks gray.
I know.
Like greenish gray.
Yeah, so they had like a thing on their website where this is more like sagey green but muted. Okay. So they had it next to a green and it was like looked gray. Then they had it next to like a full-blown gray and it looked green. So but I like it because it's different. I'm just gonna keep going on with these knobs that I got from Amazon. They're like an antique bronze. I really like these little guys. They seem a little small, but I'm still gonna use them. They're gonna do the trick to open the dresser. If you have this dresser and you're looking for a simple hack, just paint. You don't have to do the trim or put like cane webbing or anything like that. I think this will add some nice character, so I'm gonna put this on. One down, 5 more to go.
I'm just touching up some of the areas I missed or maybe forgot when I was outside. You'll soon also see I decided to paint the bottom base and legs of the dresser. The original thought I had in my head just wasn't looking great to me, so I ended up pivoting and painting the base. Right before I show you the final result, let's take one more look at the before of this dresser. And here is the after. Matt and I both really love how it turned out, and another big change was swapping out the more contemporary framed art that used to be above the dresser for one of our more vintage pieces. I really think it brought more of the look we wanted into this space.
talking in your sleep. Guess we're on a losing streak, but we're in good company. I feel better when you speak, 'cause you know the words to comfort me. Makeover, oh, you can hedge for dagger to the heart. Just when it gets hard, you are almost there. Climbing at the dark. Guess we're on a losing streak, but we're in good company. I feel better when you speak, 'cause you know the words to comfort me. Guess we're on a losing streak, but we're in good company. I feel better when you speak, 'cause you know the words to comfort me. Don't wait for me, honey. Don't wait, 'cause I'm always heading your way. And I know exactly what I'm looking for. Let it go. I'll keep running till I can't no more. You'll always be the one I want at midnight. You'll always steal my breath away. Yeah. You'll always be my heart and my life. Every second, every day. Mm-hmm.